It's work. Getting over now?
Guys, start over now.
There it is.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sound?
Excellent.
You hear me okay?
Mm-hmm.
Great. Apologies.
Thank you so much.
Alright.
Accessibility through town architecture, we're looking at some accessibility options within the facility, whether it's an elevator or stair elevator that we can introduce in the facility with minimum impact. So we're working our way through some design options and specialist contractor design options at the moment. The last piece of the arena was we have a feasibility study for a potential commercial kitchen. So we came up with 3 or 4 options. We reviewed the facility both in the curling rink and the ice rink, and we came up with a really good location up in the viewing gallery. So if you're all familiar with it, where all the trophies and medals and everything sit, there is, as you come up on the left-hand side, there's a couple of, I call it dead space. It's not dead space, but it's something that we could really tie into the services, the water heaters, and really put a wall where the columns are and create a really nice commercial kitchen there. So through Councillor Leithwood and the board, we took that and they said they give us a rubber stamp to say that would be a really good location for it. So we're currently just finalising. We're working our way through the feasibility study with some specialist kitchen suppliers, so we'll be able to provide a feasibility report once that is run through its design course. Project status, we're about 50% through the design. We've not got any tenders done yet. That should hopefully happen over the next few weeks, and then we'll hopefully get complete in early 2025 with your support and approval. Any questions on the arena? Okay. City Hall, as we sit here in a beautiful building, it's a little bit tired on the outside. So we had the Master Painters Institute came to the building and reviewed the condition and created a specification and tender documentation for us. So it gives us what's required, how it's to be done, and then we are currently going to be taking some lead sampling next week, I think is Jeff, isn't it? Yeah, 31st, so we're going to do some paint testing to see if there's any lead containing in the existing surfaces there. And thereafter, once we have that information, we will go out to public tender for some quotations on painting the building. So really running its course at the moment. Active Transportation Network Plan. We have Watt Consulting Group under contract to carry out this project. Really happy with Watt and how they're approaching things with ourselves, and they've been to the village, they've done some data counting, they've got an engagement plan ready and presented to us. So they're working on their way through ICBC data collection, some crash data, understanding the village, a review of all the data on our QGIS MySabita software. So we've provided them access to the wider picture that we have there so they can extrapolate information. So layout, streets, sidewalks, sort of key routes from schools, hospital, even up to the arena and things like that. So they've been asking lots of really good questions. So the next step is they're going to come with an engagement proposal, which will be looking for key stakeholders and hopefully mayor and council attendance at that meeting, because you guys know the village better than anybody, so I would really encourage you all to be involved in that. We're going to have 2 stakeholder engagements. The first one I would suggest is this type of forum with staff and council, and then we can go out in the second one to the wider group, whether it's accessibility, cycling group, that type of thing. So over the coming weeks, we will have that proposal in another council meeting to see if you would be in attendance for that and really keep that process running. But really happy with how Watt are approaching it. Definitely the right decision. They're about 30% through data gathering and engagement. Overall, this active transportation network plan will be presented to the village, and then that can be taken forward with future grant applications to do other projects and upgrades. Plan is we're going to get a little bit of an extension to December 2024 because we just thought over the summer period, in the engagement side, we can get the required people, so we'll probably push the engagements to September, October time. That's the only reason for that long extension, and the province have been very supportive.
I guess one question I have is, I don't know, I can't remember what the plan is that the regional district is doing. I guess just noting that perhaps we should coordinate a little bit with the regional district, especially on our boundary, to see whether we're in sync.
Definitely, and the regional district, I think it's actually a lady who's got my surname, Dana Hawkins, who will be, she's a part of our stakeholder group.
Oh,
so we've got our CMP, regional district, working in band, we've got everybody sort of listed out and they will be invited. We can't make them attend, but we'll try and get as many people into this process for the village as we can. The more engagement we can have from all the different groups, including the school, Periwinkle, and everybody will really see how we can pull this active transportation network plan together. Okay, asset management, continuing to work on asset management since the last committee of the whole presentation. I think you actually seen the asset management program overview from a staff report. So I call that asset management project 1 is 100% complete. We have been reviewing stormwater management, asset registry and consultants reports. We've got an application that was approved through council to apply for the next asset management stream, and then there'll be another one in September. So hopefully we're successful in some of these asset management grant applications, and we can keep building on what we've done to date. Land Infotech have been helping us in lots of things. There's some proposals I've requested from Land Infotech and the consultants to support our applications. And then there will be some further staff reports on Land Infotech, QGIS and GIS support for the village and the hosting of the data that will be coming over the next few weeks. So future asset management projects to include paving, sidewalks, roofs, water and wastewater facilities and equipment. There is a lot to be done in asset management. So I can't reinforce that enough. What we see is what's been done today is great. What we achieved in Jeff and I worked tirelessly with True Consult and Land Infotech on all our water and sewer infrastructure. So everything from the reservoir down, Jeff, I think we interrogated everything. We have a full, up-to-date, reliable review of Jeff and I on the water and wastewater system. What we'd love to do now is the facilities. So really target the facilities, look at some of the equipment, have the asset registry, look at useful life, look at the risks, and really build on some of the key work that Jeff done before me and what we're doing collectively through this process. And so I think asset management is going to be a continual process that needs the care and attention required to move forward.
Any questions?
Wastewater treatment plant, we're working with, Jeff and I working with the operational certificate that we have in place. We had a meeting with the Ministry of Environment last month, I think it was. Very approachable, very supportive to the village, and they're going to be creating a new operational certificate over the next couple of months for the village, and then we should see that probably within the next 2 to 3 months. That will be a live document Jeff and the team will work with through the Ministry of Environment. And then what we actually have is some equipment purchase to do additional testing. And then we're going to be looking at a potential design RFP for the expansion and some of the works that's required in the wastewater plant to get that project shovel ready for next grant applications. There's some key work to be done there. But it's we're working well just now, Jeff, and everything in that front.
Yes, through the chair. I'm curious why an operational certificate is needed and we've been operating for some time.
we have been on the old one. There was some steps we had to do with the wastewater management to get a new permit in place. And where I believe it was left off, it was the time the old CAO was here and the new one, there was kind of, it was left off kind of unknowingly where it was left off. So we've kind of picked up the pieces and put them together and, yeah, went to the ministry and said, we've kind of completed everything here and yeah, he's taken it and, yeah, we'll get a new certificate and an updated one. The old one was kind of just in flow, basically, with a little bit of parameters added on later on, but this one is kind of with all the standards in place and it's not that we're been out of compliance, we just needed some steps in place to get there, which we should be soon.
So was some of that triggered by the expansion of the area?
Like, what do you mean, like?
So
With
the adding the extra 60 properties on, would that have triggered any of the changes to the operational certificate?
No, what we've noticed, with the expansion, it's just the plant's running, it's hard to say, but like, the plant's running well, it's just, you know, the expansions, you know, added some more flows to it, and especially during the summer months. But we still are running within the parameters of the permits and everything. So like Colin had said, we've got some additional testing equipment that will help add some more data for the expansion parameters. The expansion is needed before we do any more expanding for sure. It'll help the plant run better. Yeah. But yeah, if that answers your question.
Thank you.
Miscellaneous projects, future projects, Robert and I, sorry, CEO Baker and I meet once a week and go through the capital projects we're working on, asset management, discuss what's coming up. We've got operating permits for all required facilities, so technical BC, safety BC, electrical permits. We're working our way through the process from that. We're working, Jeff, Public Works and myself, through some industrial light replacements at the wastewater facility. There's a new streetlight installation that we're working through at River Lane that needs to be done after the bridge works when the sewage crossing was completed. We have pressure reducing valves 2, 3, and 4 on the wastewater on the water system. Needs to be, there's 2 of them that are in ground, then be brought above ground for a new code requirement. So, and they're aging pressure reducing valves. So we have some budget allocation to work through some design and get further grants to supplement reserves in the construction work. Again, it's a project that's on the to-do list that will be coming to the forefront sooner rather than later. The mine gravel pit, Jeff and his team obviously manage that facility. There is an operating permit in place and legal requirements up there. We've been running through reports, remediation, reviews, and there needs to be a consideration about a possible mine expansion in the future, so the village doesn't run out of material. So just thinking about that over the coming period, then again, on our to-do list. Working on some backup generator and transfer switch up at the Hale Pump Transfer Station. I'm working with Jeff and his team. We actually have a reconditioned generator that was taken from elsewhere that's going to go up there, so that'll get backup power for when there's power failures from the network. and disaster resilience and innovation funding. There's a grant stream that was raised by CEO Baker recently. There's potential of looking at some funding available for looking at the watershed, securing the water supply, and further projects going forward.
Councillor
Through the chair. So question I have is, second to last bullet, water supply source protection study,
Yes.
and then the cross connection control bylaw.
I
I
skipped
don't
that
understand at all.
So water supply source protection, the watershed, the village has Kemp Creek, Three Springs and Kaslo River that supplies water at any given time to the village. So there is a legislative legal requirement to have a water supply source protection plan in place. Now that needs to be done by somebody way more clever than me, professionals, where they study the watershed, look at any of the events that have happened with the fire or any mudslide, landslides, avalanches, and look at that source protection. And as part of the operating permit for the water facility, that is a condition on the operating permit, the village should have that in place. So as part of coming staff reports, I'll present that to CEO Baker, the mayor and council to make that decision to go out to RFP and secure a consultant to undertake that work. But as a legal requirement under the Act to have these in place for your water supply and your source. On the
supplemental, yeah.
So all the areas you're talking about is community forest tenure. So whose rights? Like you're gonna be hiring a hydrologist, I imagine,
there'll be several consultants probably in that team to do that, and stakeholders, because all the stakeholders need to be involved in that. So community forests, regional, like everybody that's involved in that area would have to be involved in that study. So everybody would be consulted and it would be understood, because there's easements in place, there's various things to consider. Okay, and the last one is a cross connection control bylaw. So there is a requirement under the conditions of operating permit for the water treatment to protect your water supply. So cross contamination, non-return valves, back feed. So again, through staff report, CEO Baker will present that, and then over time we'll work our way through creating a bylaw to prevent and implement that through the village and public works. It's just another condition through the Act that is required through your water supply and protection. Sorry, I apologise for missing that bullet point. But, I was only meant to talk for 5 to 10 minutes, but apologies, it took a little bit longer, I think. Is that the last slide? Oh, the last one is a little bit of summary on the costs on the main capital project. So most of you are probably aware of the budgets allocated for each project. What I just did is I listed the budgets for the water treatment, EV reactors, the Kemper building, Front Street, etc. The committed cost today is primarily consultants that we've secured under contract, and the costs incurred today is what has been invoiced from those said consultants. So I just wanted to give you a little bit of a summary of where we're at on the projects, the capital projects, and what we're currently at on the committed costs and incurred costs to date on each project.
Under your future, I did talk to CAO Baker the other day. There was one that we had on the list for several years and it dropped off because I went back with our strategic plans for the last several years and found it. That's Kaslo Bay washrooms. So it was on there, and just on the last one it dropped off. And because when we had the public works shelter costed, the same person was supposed to do costing on that, and I can't remember whether it happened or not. So that's another one we had talked about that we'll bring back to council to see whether there's an interest in bringing that back in as a priority on our list.
Through the chair, there's one thing, I thought, I forgot to ask about the arena and the feasibility study for the commercial kitchen. I think this must have been something that was started in the works a little bit before I came on council, but I'm just curious, what's the intention for a commercial kitchen at the arena? I know, well, I have heard like forever that it would be nice to have a commercial kitchen that people could rent space at. And then obviously as if it became an emergency center, commercial kitchen would be a requirement by that. This is probably more a question for the mayor, the background on why we're going ahead with a feasibility study for a commercial kitchen.
Well, for what you stated, we did do through the Economic Development Commission, we did a bit of a study on that, but just a very cursory discussion, and we were supposed to, when we had hired our consultant that we had during COVID, there was supposed to be further work done on that, and it didn't happen the way it was intended to happen. And the grant opportunity came up that would allow us to do that and investigate whether the arena would be a good emergency center. And then it would basically serve two purposes, because it would work for the emergency center to have that kitchen. And then there is also the possibility that it, like you said, that it could be rented out. So it serves two purposes, and it makes that a more viable space also for the arena. It gives them another opportunity to offset costs, which helps the village and all of the user groups that use that facility. So that's, you know, when our former CAO and I talked about it, he decided that was a good idea and submitted the application for the funding. So does that help?
Yeah, thank you.
All right, there's no more questions. We're a bit behind on no, that's okay. It was good information for us to have. It's been a while since we've had you in, and we appreciate all the work that you've been doing for us. And thank you, Jeff, for taking time out of your evening to come as well and answer questions. So if there's no other questions, we'll wrap up this part of the meeting and let you two get off. I'm sure you've got other things to do.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So Catherine, we can go right into the in-camera now. Is that all right? Or do we, because it will take us a while to actually get to the in-camera portion, and we've already had our guests waiting for a while.
So I would say just a motion to rearrange the agenda.
All right. So can I have a motion to reorder the agenda to go in camera now, and then we'll resume the regular meeting after our in camera meeting? So moved by Councillor Lang, seconded by Councillor Brown. Any discussion? All those in favor? So then the recommendation is that council now recess and reconvene in camera with the public excluded under sections 91A and K of the community charter to consider employee matters and matters relating to the provision of a municipal service. Moved by Councillor Brown, seconded by Councillor Lang. All those in favor? Motion is carried. So maybe what we'll do is law.
Yeah.
Yours?
I think Councillor Bird is the one. Okay, great.
So we'll now call our in-camera meeting to order. Can I have a motion to adopt the agenda, which is,
Yeah, I'm trying to get it up and I'm.
okay,
Hang on.
we'll just deal with the correspondence thing. decided to wait for you, so there are several items of correspondence. Are there any that council wishes to pull for individual discussion? Councilor Brown.
Through the chair, I'd like to pull the 5.4.3 from the Kaslo Community Garden Society.
Any other items? And then I'll just make the comment on 546. Okay, go ahead.
Chair, I had an opportunity to read the email. I also and heard had approached me as well to talk about this. So I guess the question would be, is there a way that we can improve communication between Public Works and Community Garden? Because their perception, which is, I haven't heard the Public Works side of things, is just that there was an agreement and an understanding, and then that something went ahead and that there's some miscommunication somewhere. So I'm wondering how we can facilitate communication between the two, just to move this off of our desk and get something that works for everybody.
I believe CAO Baker related some of that in his report regarding the 6 feet around the fire hydrant. Might have been some of the
Okay.
rationale for the Public Works crew doing some of the trimming, but yeah.
Mayor Hewitt, so I think the history I understand it, you know, a bit before my time, the staff met with the folks from the community garden and kind of came up with an idea of what they would do. And then when the work was to be done, Public Works staff were on site, and as they were placing materials, chatted with the folks at the community garden and came up with a different, slightly different vision, not crazy different, but hey, let's make sure we're not right up against this fire hydrant. And they were like, yeah, that makes sense. And we're gonna put the rock here and the shrub here and tree here. And okay, yeah, that makes sense. And then it turned out the folks that Public Works chatted with are not the final decision makers. And so the folks that are running the show were not impressed that these decisions got made without their involvement. So what I asked, this is back in, I'm gonna say, April, maybe into May, I asked Public Works staff to go chat with the decision makers of the community garden and let them know about the fire code and the conversation that had occurred with staff and the other members of the garden and try to smooth it over. And unfortunately, that conversation didn't happen in a timely manner. And then there was this email, or didn't happen. And then this July email came through that said, hey, what the heck? And especially since I had told the community garden folks, Public Works will contact you, and come visit you. So I'd say, what can council do to improve the communication between Public Works and community garden? Nothing. Public Works just needs to do, you know, go up and chat with them and explain and try to smooth it over. And so I think Jeff gets the hint. He needs to go deal with it.
All right. Councillor Lang?
Yes, through the chair. This issue came up a few years ago. And they were told at that time that there had to be an area cleared around the hydrant. So I don't think they can complain that they haven't been communicated with correctly. So now I guess things change, people come and go and different people take charge of situations, but it's my sympathies are not with the community garden group at this point. That's all I want to say.
All right, and then for 546, the airport shuttle survey, just to let you know that I mentioned that at the chamber meeting last week and forwarded them a copy of the email with the survey in it. And I don't know whether, if anybody wants to look at it and wants to forward it on to any other organizations, I don't want it to become a staff thing because it's not a village item. It's something they're reaching out to us to say, if you can pass it on through your network. So if you know, the chamber seemed like a logical choice because I got this the day of the chamber meeting. So I did that, so it could go to, you know, if anybody has contacts within the jazz festival, because they would be a good choice for that kind of engagement. So. All right, and now public time, there's no public. Oh, right, the circulation package, right. So was there anything in the circulation package that's something, okay, that's why usually we don't have anything. Go ahead, Councillor Brown.
Through the chair, I just want to state my interest in the Connects program that we saw in there. There was some information as to if there were individuals interested in that. And I guess I would state my interest in that. And then some supplemental.
So which page of the package is that? We're all on the same page.
Yeah,
Oh, okay. Thoughts to that? Is that,
I didn't see any cost specifically. I just more talked about time commitments.
so I think there's nothing, you as an individual, if there's no cost and you're willing to do that, I think there's nothing stopping you from expressing your interest. It didn't, yeah.
I just wasn't sure as, like, it's specifically looking for people from municipalities, it's not looking for individual citizens. So I wasn't sure if me expressing my interest would be appropriate as I can't represent the local council. Without,
Okay.
I thought it was of interest, and when we look at having like a climate committee that we've talked about since the election, these courses could help us to have a solid foundation for what that might look like and actually give us a roadmap and things to consider were we to do that. It's a relatively small commitment. It's all virtual. And it's an area of interest for me. So were the village to want someone to be participating in that, I would put myself forward if someone is interested.
So, yeah, I wonder if it needs to have the endorsement or just that council supports Councillor Brown in his expressing interest in participating in this as a member of council.
I'm just going to their website, try and
It really isn't.
find it out, but.
Oh, okay, an expression of interest link. Oh, you gotta apply.
You have to apply, which is why I thought, well, I'm gonna go through this process and make sure that.
Read the brochure. I guess that's what we were reading, is the brochure, okay.
In the frequently asked questions, it does talk about, looks like they're looking for supporting leaders and practitioners at either your regional level or what positions to translate knowledge and actions in their organizations and communities. This includes a wide range of staff, such as planners, engineers, financial officers, communication specialists, and emergency managers, as well as elected officials and community leaders.
So I think it very much is on behalf of the municipality. Each community is asked to commit between 2 and 6 people, staff, elected or voluntary leaders, and other key partners.
How big a community do we think we are?
Yeah. It's a federally funded program, so I think that they're targeting communities of all sizes.
I'm okay if it's something that we didn't want to do. I just thought I would put it forward as I went through and oh, it's of interest.
Well, yeah, well, if we have to do 2, well, even I think getting 2 people who would have the time to commit to doing that is the problem.
Fair enough.
Thank you for being willing to do that. There might be other opportunities that come forward, because it is something that we should be doing more work on. All right, so are we good to move on then? Oh, okay.
I didn't know it would be such a long meeting. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Just took some things of note, the Disaster Resilience and Innovation Funding Program that it's noted. Seems like it could be a good opportunity to support fire smart efforts that we're doing in the municipality and the surrounding areas that are covered by the community forest. It looked like stable, long-term funding that helped to adapt to natural and climate-driven hazards. So when we're looking at wildfires and all the things that are happening here, and I guess if we were interested in that funding, would the village submit an expression of interest, or perhaps it's something to bring to the community forest? Although it did look like something that the municipality would have to do, they would not be able to do it. It would be something that they would bring back to us and ask. But if there's of note that there is that funding, and then once again, REDIP intakes open through October 31st. I know that we've had a lot of things that were not successful in our local region. I didn't necessarily see any suggestions as to how we can improve those plans to make them fundable. But I could see how there'd be a lot of groups within our region and within our municipality who'd be interested in that intake. And then whether we ourselves wanted to look at any of the things that we submitted, like the Campbell or anything, and take their feedback to submit a better plan that might be more fundable for them.
And that could have just been the function of it being oversubscribed, right? Maybe it was a good project, but not as good as others.
Do we get feedback when we get denied?
I don't know, but I know staff did meet with Jen Comer. Correct? You'd said you met with Jen.
Yeah, Jen, I don't think we received any feedback on that grant application.
Okay.
Okay.
And we could try again. But I think that I'd be safe in saying that with all that's been happening and how busy the village is, probably taking on another.
Yeah.
Well, or anything, any new projects, you know, maybe if it's dusting off an old one that could easily, for a project that's already identified, that's different. Because most of the legwork has already been done, but for a new project that would take staff time to develop. I'm thinking that but it's up to council what they ultimately think, but I just want to make sure that we respect that staff does have capacity and there isn't enough of it right now.
I suppose I was thinking of with the report that we got where there's all these stages at Campbell. And now that we actually have plans and we've got information that might be a little bit more solid for funders when they're looking at that in a staged process, that might be a fruitful area to be able to go further in some areas that have been identified and we're able to do funding.
So I guess maybe you could take that back and just talk to Colin and see whether there's a way, whether that application could be beefed up, the one that had been submitted before for the Kimball, since he's already working on it.
If it's
On the
within
Campbell?
his,
Yeah.
yeah, like it doesn't add undue pressure or stress to get it done.
But maybe we'll just let that rest with staff then, because you'll know better than we will what capacity there is. And if something happens, and it would be great. But, if it's not possible, would you have another one?
No, that's it.
Okay. All right, so then we will move into business. So the library building committee recommendations. The first one is that the terms of reference for the library building committee be amended as proposed by the committee during their July 8th, 2024 meeting. Moved by Councillor Bird, seconded by Councillor Brown. Any discussion? All those in favor? Motion carried. And that the village contribute staff resources to assist the library building committee in developing and issuing an request for expressions of interest for partnerships that would enable library construction to proceed, as well as assist the assessment of proposals. Moved by Councillor Brown, seconded by Councillor Lang. Any discussion? All those in favor? Motion is carried. And Canada Community Building Fund Agreement. Recommendation is that the mayor and corporate officer be authorized to sign the 2024 to 2034 Community Works Fund Agreement between the Village of Kaslo and the Union of BC Municipalities. Moved by Councillor Brown, seconded by Councillor Bird. Any discussion? Councillor Lang.
I'm just curious what the dollar amount is that known at this time?
It was in the report. I don't remember the exact figure, but
Like 150.
yeah, and it was static for 3 years, and then it went up one year. I think it was static for 3 years, and then it went up.
It's okay.
It is slightly higher than the last one, but not a lot.
111,176 for the first 3 years, and then it was increasing to 1,015.
Perfect.
Right? Okay, thank you. Any further discussion? All those in favor? It's carried. And service AC lease agreement. Recommendation is that. The village of Kaslo agreed to an annual base rent of $5,175 or $431.25 per month for the service EC space in City Hall, effective, take the out of there, August 1st, and that the village agreed to the province of BC's request to exercise their option to terminate, allowing for an agreement end date of August 1st, 2026. Moved by Councillor Brown, seconded by Councillor Lang. Any discussion? Councillor Bird.
Just for clarity, through the chair, when it says effective August 1st, 2023, we're talking about backdating. Okay. That's it.
And I don't know if it's not inappropriate to ask this. Why are they exercising their right to terminate? Are they?
They haven't given a specific reason. Yeah.
Okay. So, any further discussion? All those in favor? It's carried. And 7.4, the Confluence Grand Opening Invitation. Recommendation is that Mayor Hewitt be authorized to attend the grand opening of the Confluence in Castlegar on August 23rd, 2024, with expenses paid pursuant to municipal policy. By Councillor Lang.
Give me a second.
Second, Councillor Brown. Discussion? Okay.
One little point, isn't it confluence? Isn't that how you pronounce it?
What did I say? Confluence?
Confluence.
Maybe it's.
I just don't want to go there. Say it wrong. So
That's to practice my English, so you're saying.
well, isn't it confluence?
That's what I was saying, but I may have said it wrong. But, Councillor Brown.
To the chair, what is conflict? Like, what will happen at this facility?
This is the new Chamber of Commerce building for the, for Castlegar.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and it's the main thing that they're promoting is that they've now got a 50-seat meeting facility that with all the state-of-the-art tech and everything, so that major events can happen there. Not major, but for larger meeting sizes. And a lot of the funding came through Mercer Selgar for that. And then I think that room as, I can't remember what its name is, but the whole building, they're very proud of what they've been able to do with that building. So I may or may not go, depending what else happens around that time, but it would, I've been involved with a few things with the Kaslo Chamber lately, and some of it is through the Imagine Kootenai and through this transit study, because they're the ones who have commissioned that study that we're doing. So that's on their dime. So yeah, I just thought it would be interesting.
For sure.
Any further discussion? All those in favor? Motion is carried. And then for item 7.5, I would like to declare my conflict of interest in regard to this matter because I am employed by the individual, the contractor named. So I shall let the minutes note my meeting.
Okay, as acting mayor, I'll read the recommendation that Brenton Industries Limited be awarded the contract for Front Street Park final phase construction services, all for the sum of $97,922.41, excluding taxes, as outlined in the proposal dated 4th July 2024, and further that staff be authorized to execute the contract. Moved, seconded. Any discussion? All in favor? Or do you want to
Well,
discuss?
I did wanna,
Okay, go ahead.
yeah, through the chair. Yeah, I just feel like there were enough people, there was a good effort made by lots of contractors, and that being the only one in. I'm always very nervous about, the appearance of favoritism and stuff, but in this case, we can't fault the process, and I'm totally fine with picking the one person that responded, and luckily, all will be good.
Just wanted to make a comment too, that I think, I'm curious how they're gonna navigate around the Saturday market, because it will be somewhat disruptive. And the Saturday market's got to be pretty popular, so there'll have to be some coordination done there for sure. Anyway, all in favor? Motion's carried. Ask Mayor Hewitt to come back.
Councillor Lang? All right, and then we come to our late item, which is regarding requests for Kaslo Jazz, etc. Society. And it appears that they need this done in order to have their event. So recommendation is that Kaslo Jazz Fest be designated by council as an event of significance for the purpose of applying for a special event permit for the liquor and cannabis from the Liquor and Cannabis Regulation Board. By Councillor Brown, seconded by Councillor Lang. Any discussion? All those in favor? And since we've already done our in-camera, we'll have a motion to adjourn at 8:40 by Councillor Brown. Okay, thanks everyone.